Springtime equals an abundance of eggs for us this year, which is both a gift and an opportunity to learn a new skill. Today, the kids and I will be feeding the ladies, sorting and washing the eggs as needed, plus preserving with a method from the past, as well as hard-boiled eggs so easy my 2-year-old can peel them. Join us as we work to control the overflow that is stacked up from our backyard flock of free-range layers. And stick around for the end, because I'm gonna share a couple of bonus tips for preservation, including my kids' absolute favorite. Our last few days have been nothing but wet, which is great for the earth and wonderful for our springtime garden that's already started, but not so good for going out and finding those eggs that our free-range girls like to lay anywhere but in those fancy laying boxes. So today's going to start out with a little bit of a scavenger hunt as we go find all of the best places where they love to put their eggs. Unfortunately, once they've been rained on, they're not safe to set out on the counter because the protective bloom is gone. More on that later, but first I want to tell you about something I've been working on for a while, which is finding the perfect pair of rubber boots to keep my feet dry and warm. Since having my last baby, my shoes no longer fit. I know that everybody doesn't know your feet grow. 1 through 4 didn't do this to me, but number 5 definitely did. And today I'm trying out some boots from High C, which I have really loved, including the way they just slip off with that little lip right there you're seeing on the back. Not only are these boots comfortable, but they come in at less than $60, plus an additional 15% off with the code you're seeing on the screen now. I'll put all the information you need in the description, but highly recommend you checking them out if you're looking for something stylish and comfortable, but also that'll keep your feet dry and warm. Now, jumping back to the eggs, the first thing we had to do was sort out those dirty eggs from the clean ones. Of course, we had some that just come in the house dirty even on dry days, but then we have the ones that have been rained on the past couple days, which need our quick attention. Now, any job in my house is not one that's going to be done alone. So not only is my beautiful 6-year-old helping me, but also my tiny assistant has noticed that something's going on in the kitchen and she cannot wait to get her hands on it. Initially, I was helping her. I was holding the washcloth, as you can see, but that did not suit her fancy. So I decided, since we have such an abundance, it wouldn't really matter if 1 or 2 eggs got broken. I have to confess, the only eggs that were broken this entire day were broken by me. She did a great job and was so proud of herself. And I always find that letting them have that little bit of independence, while it might make the job take a little bit longer, is always worth it in the end when they feel the sense of accomplishment that comes along with it. After we got all these eggs washed up, I went ahead and put 2 dozen in my Instapot. Now, I know all the recipes that you see online call for like 6 eggs, but from my own experience, if you can set them in here in a way that they do not fall, it doesn't really matter how many you put in as long as the lid can get on. So I'm stacking them up on my trivet and playing a little bit of fast and loose there. I added about a cup of water and I'm taking them over to put them in for 4 minutes of high pressure. When that time is complete, I'm going to give them a 5-minute natural release. But in the meantime, it's time to go ahead and get these eggs into some cartons so they can go in the refrigerator. Now, one thing I have found to bring me an insane amount of joy is actually the way I lay out my egg cartons. I try to make sure that the beautiful colors are all separated and that every time you open the box, it's like opening a beautiful surprise with all of the colors just exploding for your eyes. Now, as you can see here, my little lady isn't quite so particular with the way that she stuffs her egg carton, but it is still quite gorgeous in the end. And she, again, is so happy with her contribution that I'm not going to stop her anytime soon. Full confession though, I think she's paying a little more attention than I give it credit for because this carton turned out absolutely beautiful. The fact that she had to take a second to apologize for the rest of the eggs for not fitting in the carton, I just thought was absolutely precious. Now, with the time that took, we went ahead and filled up our bowl of ice and water. Our eggs are complete. They had the 4 minutes of high pressure and the 5 minutes of natural release. Then we went ahead and had lunch. But if there's one thing that my kids love, it is peeling eggs. And I'm always down to make a job that I would have to do myself with 24 eggs go a lot faster by adding in mini hands. Now, the secret to peeling these eggs after the 5 minutes of cooling off is just to crack them hard and roll them around completely, including the ends to get the shell completely crunched up. Once you do that, they just slip out of the shell. I've heard many people talk about how hard it is to peel fresh eggs, and I just do not find that the case at all. Now, if you can see that very vivid, bright yolk there in the front, that egg actually fell off of my little Jenga stack when I was stacking up the eggs in the Instapot, fell into the bottom and cracked, but I left it to go ahead and boil anyway because I knew it would still be delicious. But check out the little one here with the way that she peels this egg. If that doesn't tell you that this is easy, nothing will. I have found that if I keep hard-boiled eggs in the refrigerator, they will disappear. My kids love them for a snack, so does my husband, and it's a great way to fill them up with some protein, plus use up a bunch of eggs, and then if there's any left at a mealtime and I need a side dish, I can pull them out and devil them. So it's a great way just to have something ready on hand as a fast meal prep. Now on to the next. What we're doing here is filling up my water filter and cleaning some gallon jars. The jars that I'm using for this process are actually those big gallon pickle jars that you can get at Sam's Club. While we don't use them ourselves because I make our own pickles, we do get them for our concession stand for our baseball fields, and often there's tons left over at the end of the season. You can often find things like gallon jars or even food grade buckets for free if you know where to look. Now back to the process here at hand, which is water glassing the eggs. I'm using 1 ounce of pickling lime to 1 quart of water. For this gallon jar, I'm mixing 2 quarts, so that's 2 ounces of the pickling lime. And into the next jar, I'm gonna go ahead and fill it with eggs. Now, what you can see here is me negotiating these eggs. The bottom layer is always the hardest, with the goal being the point end down so that the air sac and membrane at the top of the egg stays in place. This helps to seal out the air and keep the eggs fresh for up to 18 months on a shelf in a dark area in a cool space, which is why I will be putting these in the basement.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain.
With the jar full, I'm using a canning funnel to go ahead and pour the lime solution into the egg jar itself. You need about half of the amount of volume in liquid, so this is 1 gallon jar. I'm using 2 quarts of mixture. This will vary slightly depending on the size of every egg going in. I repeated this exact same process with a second jar and needed to mix up a little bit more than the half gallon of liquid to go with it. So just be prepared to use those same ratios to negotiate the amount that you need to make sure that the eggs are completely submerged. You do not want any piece of them sticking out with them going onto the shelf for quite some time. Now at the beginning, I promised some extra tips of what to do with your eggs. My kids' favorite way to put eggs away is to make a batch of waffles, and then we freeze them. They can grab them for a snack, or they can make their own breakfast if there's some reason that they're not wanting what we're making as a family. And I love to have something that flexible around. The recipe that I use, I'll link in the comments, but it takes 8 eggs for every batch, and we're able to put up a couple gallons of waffles into the freezer for everyone to use, in addition to the ones that we eat at the time when I'm actually making the waffles. My second suggestion is to scramble up some of your extra eggs and freeze them. You can either A, eat them yourself, or B, feed them back to your chickens during the molt in the fall and winter to make sure that they're getting a ton of great nutrition to add to so that their molt process goes by faster and they live a better life. Now, I promised you that the rainy season was upon us, and you can obviously hear that now. I'm actually checking out a second pair of boots. I just wanted to see if I love them, and I absolutely do. Again, these are also available with that 15% off discount code that you can find in the description, but I'm taking them out on their maiden voyage to feed the girls all the scraps we had left for the day, as well as gather a few more eggs in the rain. Thank you for coming along with me as I took one more step in my food preservation journey. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I hope you take something with you as you go. Thanks for stopping by the Hometown Homestead, friends, and we'll see you back soon.